today I'm joined by Rory Diesel. Rory, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
And we're going to be talking about a very big issue in MMA and boxing and most combat sports, and that's weight cutting. And Rory, obviously you've got quite a bit of experience in this. You've cut most of the MMA fighters that are around on the SA circuit so far. I think give us a bit of background on how you got to the point where you are now and what the history is of how you built up the knowledge you've got.
Okay, so I started doing MMA myself. A friend brought me into it, a DJ friend, a little guy. And I used to do in the club scene and all sorts of things. I was quite big back then. And he was like, I'm getting beaten up, please come with me. And it was actually Rodney King's gym. I think it must have been in around about 1998 or 99. Then my cousin started just a little bit after me. I got him to start. He was recovering from rugby injury from overseas. He came here, and he never looked back, Neil. Everyone knows Neil from back then. And then we got weight divisions. First fight. Now he's got his first pro fight or first fight. There were no pro or amateurs back then. And we needed to lose weight. And we knew bodybuilders back then. And of course, they gave us a tablet. One of my friends like, have this tablet. I'm like, what does this tablet do? I was like, no, it's just a water tablet. But it was a direct Lasix. It's very dangerous. So took it. Neil got his weight on thing. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't even know it was illegal. It wasn't illegal because they weren't testing. And he took it. And it was a big guy that he was fighting because Neil was a small guy. And he started cramping on the first round. Legs started cramping because he didn't know what we were doing. So then I figured out, need to start doing this. So we started playing around, started speaking to people overseas on the internet, and started doing it like that. And started off with bodybuilding cuts, very similar to how bodybuilders start their cuts. And then it just progressed as I started learning more and more and more. It just got better and better with more guys you work with. It's like anything. You start doing it and you start learning yourself without someone telling you this is how it's done only. You learn more, you learn better.
You know, globally there's been issues around weight cuts. I think, give us some of the myths around weight cuts and also what guys are doing wrong. I mean, what are guys doing to land them up in that position?
They just know they're going to lose water. So a guy's going to stick on a sweatsuit, probably sit in the sauna, which is like, you don't do that. You can do it to get your body used to heat. I do it a lot with the guys before they're coming in. They're always sauning once a day after a training session, one training session, just to get used to the heat and drinking water while they're sweating so that their body gets used to it. The body knows it's always going to be water, you can sweat, stuff like that. And they sit in a sauna, and like some guys cut like 6 kilos in a sauna, and that's not, I don't care what, unless you're taking a drip afterwards, which you're not allowed to do anymore, you're still not going to be right because of the amount of heat it generates. You want to sweat, and the best way to sweat is in 100% humidity. So when you're sitting in a sauna, it's decent, but it's just creating too much heat for your body. Your brain overheats, you stop sweating, or you start not feeling so lekker. And guys also, they'll ride themselves on a bicycle, and because they've got a strong mind can sometimes be something that's not good, especially for a weight cut. If you don't know what you're doing, you basically, the viscosity of your blood, it thickens because you're losing water. Have a heart attack. And weight cutting, I'm not a guy that advocates it. I don't like it, but I've had friends, Aussie, Depovia, people from EFC, I think 6, had a brain hemorrhage. And it was due to him, he was doing everything sort of his own way, but things weren't done correctly. So you lose your weight, it's fine, but putting back the weight doesn't mean because you look big, it's back to your brain. That's the first part you've got to worry. The border's got to go to your brain. Forget about the muscles and getting big, it's got to go to your brain. And that's where people go wrong. They start eating junk food, and junk food is just going to bloat you. It's not going to go to the muscles, it's bad. And that's also one of the myths. Eat as much as you can afterwards of anything. No. You've just dieted for eight weeks or however many weeks it is, and you change into junk food, your body's like, what the hell? And it's actually normally a cortisol or some other response because it's just too much stress for it.
So everyone focuses on losing the weight,
yeah,
but not many actually focus on putting it back on. Can you
They're focusing
run us
on
through
pizza.
a bit of that? So what is the process to actually put the weight back on correctly?
You go through the weight cut. Now, the guys I work with, like Boyd's fighting now, he was 75 kilos 2 weeks ago, he's 71 this morning. So we start building up slowly. We get the right foods, mix them together correctly. A lot of superfoods I use a hell of a lot of superfoods compared to any other people that they use. A lot of superfoods, low carb, high-ish fat, and they start eating. And within the first, they normally drop 3 kilos in the first week. It's just because their body is just readjusting. And then closer to the time, when we get to the last week, I like them to be no more than 8%, which is a UFC standard. We use UFC standards, 8% of your weight to cut. And we cut it, we load water, then basically to put it back on, you've dehydrated yourself now. So now nothing is working properly. You need water for every reaction in your body. So what's the first problem when you start stuffing too much food in your mouth? What is your saliva? It's a digestive enzyme. You've seen guys at weight cuts. Do they have saliva? No. So now you've got to get stuff in that has to digest, which it can't, and get it to work. So now you dehydrate with water first. Now, guys that haven't been eating for 24 hours and have been in a restricted diet, if they're not strong-minded, they just can't do it. And I've had people when they don't listen, I say, this is how you do it. So I'll give certain types of sugars and sugar alcohols because they don't have to digest. Depending on how you structure your food is how your body fills up as well. So, and also certain amino acids to fill the brain, the eyes, lots of different things that goes in. So one drink will be maybe 10 to 15 different products, and there's a 3 or 4 or 5 drinks that I give with all different products in it. So it's quite complicated.
And then also, I think another thing that guys think, every weight cut's the same for every kind of person. And I think, obviously, you've seen it and you've done it. Give us the subtle differences between cutting a male and a female athlete.
Yeah, a female athlete, nothing wrong with females actually, but females are a lot more emotional. They think about a lot more things. Their head works differently, okay? So where guys like do this, he'll switch off to the whole world and he'll just start plodding along doing one thing and he won't think about anything else. That's why you'll yell at your wife or your girlfriend, what the hell are you doing? I'm trying to do this. But do like 3 things. No, a guy can't do that, just the way we're wired. So a guy can do something and he's got it pretty much focused, and obviously there's hormone differences, so don't get me wrong, just don't look to your head. The women have the estrogen, the progesterone, their testosterone, everything you got to worry about it. When those go out of whack, and they go out of whack every month properly, nothing works. Especially, not nothing, but weight stalls quite a lot then. And say for instance, Shana, we had problems with her once, but every time fight week came, she was on. And it was a problem because you have to now fight against every bit of hormone. And anyone that knows anything, when a woman comes on her period, stuff's not moving. It's either getting bigger. It's never getting smaller. Yeah. And that's a problem with a woman. And even during the day, their weight will fluctuate a lot because of cortisol levels, because of stress, because they stress differently, and different hormones are going up all the time. Too many weight cuts also cause hormone very bad imbalances and shut some hormones totally off. Same with guys. The testosterone counts start going down. So that's the main thing. Women, you're dealing with progesterone and the estrogen a lot, and it holds water, especially around the hips and around, yeah. So you've got to be very subtle. It takes a long time. You can't just chuck them in the bars like men.
Thanks, Rory. Thanks for joining us. A lot of good insights. Guys, there you have it. A lot of the myths expunged when it comes to weight cuts, big issues in MMA and combat sports. We will be chatting to Rory a bit more about nutrition on the next episode as well. Stay tuned and join us.